Hello, this is Heretic Prince. It looks like Arch Warhammer kicked up a bit of a storm wherever it came to 40k gameplay or lore. There has been a constant push from our moral betters, our Puritan brothers, to make the Space Marines into women, even though they already have the Sisters of Battle. The the meme he posted is very simple. Join the hobby or change the hobby. And the tourist has this decision. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find where I had posted what I thought, but I am not a 40k player. I just enjoy the lore videos and the universe sort of realm that is 40k is so fascinating. I can't imagine wanting to change any of it. I'd much rather keep exploring it. It's so deep, and then it's also so horrible that it borderlines on comical. But what I really wanted to get into was the Puritan counter-argument for these pushbacks against their proposed improvements to the game. Of course, as we all know, if there's something that 40k needs to be, it needs to be moral and pure and good. I am 100% certain that the Imperium would be very concerned with gender quotas. Perhaps next they can establish the 40-hour work week or classes for the human children to reaffirm their emotions and make sure that they feel valued within the Imperium. I mean, who are we kidding? We're talking about a bunch of people who think that they're oppressed if anybody disagrees with them or doesn't like them. Maybe they need a taste of 40k. Where the humans, well, if you survive your workday, that was a good day. But let's take a look at this post. Like I said, I want to look at how they respond to those who don't agree with their, once again, proposed improvements. I would rather see 40k and all my other favorite franchises' IPs die 1,000 deaths than kowtow and pander to the regressive left and the mind rot they carry with them. Okay, so the pretty bold stance. What's the reply? Mind you, this is a reaction. Wait, hold on. I gotta do the correct voice. Mind you, this is a reaction to Warhammer 40k adding female Space Marines. This is so funny. These fucking dorks want to be oppressed so bad. Oh yes, because as we know, it's the people that it's the fans who are already there and like the things the way that they are because that's what they like. They're the ones who are screaming oppression. But how does Trell react to this? What does he call people who don't want to implement their proposed changes? You want to guess? Do you want to guess first? Go ahead and write in the comments and guess. You'll never guess it in a million years. You'll never figure out what these Puritan SJW fucks want to call anybody who doesn't disagree with them. It blew my mind, literally. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you sure you can handle this? All right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, anybody who doesn't agree with them is a Nazi. I didn't see that coming. Did you see that coming? That blew my mind. Holy shit. Anyone who disagrees is a Nazi. Warhammer 40k fans, when they find out women also exist. Oh, go get fucked. Really. Sincerely, go get fucked. Then, of course, I mean, like, these have been some of the most entertaining Twitter threads I've read. Such as this person says, "Don't be dense. We've never had any problems with women in the hobby. We have made it very clear that what we have a problem with is people insisting that the lore and hobby change for their own selfish reasons. Take your straw man and eat it." Then, of course, Trell responds, "Sounds like a bunch of nobody crybabies who don't like change to me, Lemao." Now, you see, here's the dangerous thing. Here's the crazy thing that they don't understand. So this is a justification for changing the way that the Space Marines are designed, for what they are. Well, what other changes can this justify? Why not have all the races gather around in a circle around the universe and sing Kumbaya? Why not? Well, you don't like that idea? Well, you're just afraid of change. You're just a man, baby. But of course, probably the best one here is Pingos when they aren't allowed to culturally revolutionize an IP. If we take a look at Frostfire Flame's original tweet here, where she said that basically she would rather see it die than see it subjected to the brain rot of Puritanism, there was an interesting, this person here says, it's a fucking war game. And the OP, quite correctly replies, appeal to triviality. If it's trivial, then why the fuck are you here? If it's not important, then why are you arguing? It reminds me of the whole pronoun debacle with Starfield. It's just pronouns, bro. Why are you so concerned about it? But whenever somebody came out with a mod to remove that option, that had to be banned. So you can't just say it's not important because you went out of your way to take action to stop that from happening. So it is important to you. And really, this is how Puritans invade. They say, oh, well, it's not really a big deal. Why are you concerned about it? Just let us in, and then we can start making changes so that way all of us can enjoy it. And then they make their changes. And then the last stage is, oh, you don't like what we're doing? Well, fuck you, get out. They'll sit here and appeal to triviality and tell you it's not a big deal. It's nothing to worry about. Why don't you want to let us in? But then once they're in, it is a big deal and things need to change, and then they kick you out. Gatekeep your hobbies. And of course, if you're one of the people who have caught on to that trend, you're what they call a fascie, I guess. I guess that's a new hip lingo. That's what you say now. You call people a fascie if you want to be hip to be square. The horror that fascie 40K fans can't seem to wrap their head around is that the Imperium isn't bigoted around ethnicity, sexuality, or gender, because it treats everyone as badly as the fascioids want to treat minorities. Only exception is that the useful are somewhat spared. Oh, God. Do I even have to say anything to this? If you like the lore of 40K, you're a fascie who just wants to annihilate any and all minorities. Okay. And then, of course, there's whenever people actually start responding, they go into panic mode. Looks like some of the aforementioned fash have found the post, along with a few generic foaming bigots accompanying them, of course. We shouldn't be surprised, really. Twitter is one of the last safe spaces. Okay, first of all, which side of the aisle demanded safe spaces? Just for the record. I never demanded a safe space. I think safe spaces are stupid. I think that they cause brain rot. I think not having your ideas challenged is like the worst thing for a person intellectually. But someone like Radhom here, I'm sure would believe that not having safe spaces is racist because you're not, or sexist because you're not giving those people who need it, quote unquote, need it, what they want. Okay, so shut the fuck up about safe spaces. Of course, this is a great response. Are those fashy 40K fans here in the room with us? Now, you see, here he does it again. And this is something that I've found annoying about Puritans, is that lately they are such NPCs that they don't even have their own counter arguments. They're stealing the counter arguments from their opposition. He says here, on Twitter, sure, but they're generally too scared to show their faces at clubs, cons, or local gaming stores. They need their bigoted safe spaces, or they get their poor feelings hurt. I'm sorry, who was it again that demanded safe spaces be a thing on college campuses? And who was it who said that certain arguments can't be used because it hurts feelings or quote unquote triggers people?
You cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
The entire argument for the changes that they want in 40K is that if you don't do it, it hurts their feelings. Well, they like to disguise it as you're a bad person, you're a fascie. That's what that means. You're saying, oh, you're a bad person, so you're hurting my feelings. Rad hom. That's what you're saying. You're saying your feelings are hurt. But you're trying to reverse that. Their only arguments, I swear to God, these NPCs, they have two arguments. You hurt my feelings or no you. That's it. Everything that they argue comes down to that. It hurts my feelings or no you. And sometimes they hide it hurts my feelings as you're a bad person, you're a fascie. Then I bookmarked this one because I thought this was another interesting strategy that they try to use to wedge their way into fandoms. This person here, Demon Faye Shay, they posted a meme where it essentially says it's a take on arches, except for they changed it into two bright castles. One is enjoy the hobby as it's written, and on the right is enjoy the hobby in your own way. Now, you see, something like this works in D&D because essentially every D&D table is taking place in its own world. The Dungeon Master can change something in that world, and it has no effect on the person playing down the road. But that's not what they want. They want to change the world that everybody plays in, such as they did this to D&D by removing certain races and taking away whether a race has more of a predilection towards good or evil or chaos or law. They just take shit away. But V had a great response to this. Basically, just to summarize this, V proposed like Christians joining a SJW Discord channel, and then making demands that the channel start being more inclusive towards Christians. How do you do that? Well, we need to start putting some crosses up. There needs to be more images of crosses in the chat, and it needs to, sing the praises of Jesus. And also, can we stop talking about Karl Marx? Because he was an atheist, and that's offensive to Christians. How do you think that they would like that? Do you think that they would have that oh so darn rootin' tootin' inclusive spirit? No, not at all. In fact, they would turn around and scream, oh, well, the crosses are exclusive or offensive to those who don't believe in that faith, I'm sure. So their whole argument of inclusion is nothing but bullshit. Then again, as I was just skimming through this entire conversation going on Twitter, I happened to once again come across a really weird quote-unquote meme. The meme says, what your favorite chapter tells others. We have the black and white armor here, and it says probably a weird crypto-fascist that's way too into the Crusades. Well, yeah, they remind me of, I think, of the Knights Hospitaller. I could be wrong. I'm going off memory. It could be the Teutonic Knights. But somebody's going to say, oh my God, since he knows that kind of stuff, he's obviously a fascist. But they're absolute. Look, let's just go to the next one here. Also probably a weird crypto-fascist, but Sparta makes your dick hard instead. Well, Sparta does make my dick hard. But their absolute obsession with people being fascists that do not see the world the way that they do is just insane. And it's not like they'll tell you, oh, well, we see people as fascists if they're racist. No, it can be the slightest of disagreements, such as over the lore of a grimdark war game. A world where things aren't fair. A world where things aren't nice. Okay? They don't give a fuck about whether you find it offensive or not that there's no female space marines. The Emperor doesn't give a shit. I'm just trying to imagine. Well, the Emperor was alive bringing this concern up to him. The Earth is a dry mud ball with almost no resources. Oh, but you know what? We'll make sure that the guardsmen are 50% men and 50%. We'll make sure everything is even around the board. Why don't you just go ahead and walk around back and my partner will help you? Boom! Now, once again, digging even deeper down this rabbit hole that I kind of wish I never went down. But I really couldn't help myself because, like I said, even though I don't play the game, the lore is fantastic. And while it does have errors and gray areas, there's places where it contradicts. And I only know this because, other than Arch Warhammer, I also listened to Luton and A Border Prince. And I think it was Luton himself who said that the lore does have contradictions. And what's sad is that these people will throw these gray areas and contradictions at you as carte blanche to do anything with the lore that they want. And one of the points that I'm going to make here, or at least I'm going to try to make here, is that you have to be careful with how you justify doing what you want to do, because it can justify worse or bigger or more than you wanted to justify. Like if you say, well, you got to do what I say, or you're a Nazi if you don't. Well, what else will that justify? If we, yeah, I'm sorry. I want to say we as though I'm a 40K fan too. Fuck it. I'm calling myself a fan. If we back down because somebody called us a Nazi, at what point do we draw the line? At what point do we say, look, you're going to have to call me a fascist all day long. I'm not backing down on this point. Because once you give in, they will always use that as the precedent. Well, you gave in for that. Well, you let this change, so why not this other change? You used to have A, and then you changed the B. So why not change the C? Well, you changed the C, so why not D? Well, we've got D now. Why not E? Until you get the fucking Z and you don't recognize the damn hobby anymore. But Frostfire Flame presented this article, which I may have to read at some point. I'm not doing it tonight. Here's the Warhammer 40K tea. God, fucking. You know, I drink tea and this makes me repulsed by the taste of tea. Like, I don't want to drink tea anymore. Here's the 40K Warhammer tea. Served hot. Female Space Marines don't matter. But by staying silent about them, Games Workshop is giving tacit support to the absolute worst people in the Warhammer community, aka those who won't bow. And it has to stop. A long read by our editor. This is absolutely incorrect. The neutral stance is in action, and so therefore you are not approving anything. Now, that's not true in all cases. Sometimes standing back and letting something happen is your tacit approval of that, but not in this case, because if Games Workshop were to come out on the side of Puritans, then they're definitely taking a side. However, if they stay to inaction and leaving things as they are, it can still be argued that they're being neutral. Take like the case of Steam having some shadier games on it. Does that mean that Steam approves of those games? That's not what it means at all. They're taking a neutral stance. The people who work there might be repulsed by those games, but they're staying neutral by just allowing it. Now, to me, for them to be like approving of it would be for them to constantly be hyping up these games and throwing them in your face, but they don't do that. You almost have to go out of your way to find them. But anyway, I'm a little shocked that I find myself in a position where I feel like I have to explain neutrality to somebody. However, Frostfire comes back with I should have just read what she said, because anyway, she says, if they don't matter, why do you care? This entire article is basically a self-loathing white guy pretending he's the savior of the downtrodden and marginalized, calling the Imperium fascist while evoking Gamergate and Trump. You don't speak for us. You don't even speak for yourself. Which is kind of amazing how, they still evoke Gamergate. Now, my response to all this was thus: why not have female Space Marines? Next, why can't Dark Eldar be fat? Why can't the Imperium have better work standards? Why can't the Emperor be trans? Why do they have to be at war? Why not have them all be at peace? Now, I was unaware of how much of a shitstorm that this would kick up. Now, of course, this is my favorite response to what I said, and that GIF is or GIF for some of you people that are fucking crazy. This is the chef's kiss. Mwah. Well done, Feldastartes. Now, you see, this person here, Valhalliant, okay, what the person said here, I don't think is very harmful or egregious. They said, yeah, why not? If a kid brought a purple painted ultramarine army to the table, you going to turn him down because his army isn't lore accurate? I'm kind of like, no, I couldn't imagine. You know, if I actually played the game and a kid showed up and they had painted, you know, their space marines like all kinds of weird colors and whatever, you know, they're having fun. Well, I wouldn't care. I couldn't imagine caring. What brings me to respond to this is that this isn't what I was saying at all. We're talking about changing the lore for everybody, not for that little kid. As far as I'm concerned, that kid can think that those are Smurfs inside those marine armor. I don't care. As long as he plays the game by the rules, who gives a fuck? Yes, I'm that much of a tyrant. A kid comes into doing fucking. But I am a tyrant whenever it comes to playing games. You sit down and play a card game against me and you got a deck full of proxies. I'm eventually going to leave the table. Like, that pisses me off. Like, no, I paid my money. Which I probably shouldn't say because a lot of people print their own Space Marines. But whatever. That's a deeper conversation. That's a deeper conversation than dealing with Puritans. Now, I promise, I'm not getting into this guy because I think that I, like, totally owned him. It's just, he eventually gets into something that I think tells us a lot about where these Puritans who want to invade the hobby are coming from. A war game without war? You know, that should be a question mark. The Salamanders approve. And so I said my point is proven. Because this dude is willing to go that far. To say, oh, well, we should remove war from the game. Now, you can say, oh, no, he's just saying that the Salamanders approve of no war. Well, so fucking what? That's part of their fucking thing. It doesn't matter. They haven't stopped war throughout the galaxy. The Tyranids are still going to try to eat your ass. The Orcs are still going to daka your ass. They don't give a fuck what the Salamanders think. So then he says, does it even make sense? I said, no, not to the senseless. However, as our vaunted Puritan goes on, they eventually find themselves kind of cornered. And this is what happens. Frostfire says, it's almost like you should do research and talk to other players before jumping into things. They say, nah, y'all are toxic. I'll just keep farming y'all for engagement. Thanks for keep replying, by the way. It really boosts the numbers. So is that what this person is in all this for? All that they care about is boosting their numbers. It's for engagement. They don't actually believe what they're saying. And well, quite frankly, Frostfire has the perfect response. This should really be her video because she is actually much smarter and more precise in her criticism than I am. She says, good to know you're a grifting piece of shit. And it's like, wow, all of that, this person put up so much of an argument to just reveal that they're just doing this to bump their numbers. I will proclaim myself as a tourist in 40K. And I feel like I have more passion than that. I'm actually arguing because I want to preserve this world I've been thinking about. Then as we go on, there's criticisms that I don't even fucking understand what they're trying to get at. Like here, this person says Warhammer is literally a satire of fascism and one of both moral degeneracy and perversion. And then the person underneath them says it is literally established lore that the Imperium is a reflection of the consciousness of people. The fears of people are manifest in the warp as reality. They're parodying the irrational fear of fascist empires. They're making fun of you for being scared of sex. I can't help but feel like a lot of people are injecting what they think is going on and placing it as fact. However, like I said, I'm new to I won't say new to it. I've been watching videos and listening to podcasts in the background for years now, even though I don't play the game. I still just find it fascinating. But let's turn to somebody who's a bit more of an expert than I am, being Arch Warhammer. He says, where to begin? Slaanesh was birthed by the degeneracy of the Eldar, the abandonment of all virtue in pursuit of ever greater hedonism. Slaanesh is not about sex, it's about excess, taking all things to the extreme and making them corrosive and poisonous, or more left for short. Now, most people would know that I am not a political YouTuber, but I will simply defer to Arch on that comment. But the thing that caught my eye about this is it's a parody of fascism, or it's a satire of fascism. Doesn't that make it all like a big fascism joke? Isn't that offensive? Why would you want to be in on this then? If it's all based on fascism and you are all about bash the fash and smash the patriarchy, why the fuck would you want to be involved in this game? Why do you want to be here? What is your purpose? Why are you being involved? Why are you injecting yourself? It's obviously not something meant for you if you find every facet of it offensive. And here we go. I had to include this one because this is this is peak leftist meme. Once again, Demon Fache edited Arch's meme here, where on the left it's basic human decency. Okay, so they've already set the standard that if you don't agree with them, you're not even decent on a human level. Okay, because that's how Puritans see the world. Agree with them or you're fucking horrible. You're a fascie. And then, okay, down here we got the cishet white men. Fuck those women who want to keep things the way that they are, right? Those goddamn white men, fuck them. But then, like, this kills me over here. Obsessive nostalgia for a time and place that never existed that drives you to protect the purity of the things that don't matter at the expense of anyone. Sorry, I have to catch my breath. Who isn't you, instead of dealing with your problems. Peak left meme. Like, the only thing I'm surprised by is that the word Nazi wasn't in all that. Because I was waiting for them to just list out buzzwords, but no, they just basically just call you the most horrible thing that ever existed. And Arch, of course, responds to this. Peak disingenuousness. Peak disingenuousness. I might have said it wrong. Fuck it. I'm going on. But Shay has more balls than most progressives by quote tweeting me and not just screen capping my Twitter. Gives a thumbs up. To kind of round this out and bring it to an end, I want to go over one of my own interactions here. I told Arch in his original meme, I said, I only know some 40k lore from watching yours and others' videos on it. I don't play the game. I would have no problem with being called a tourist. Even with as little as I know, I can't imagine wanting to change such a fascinating universe. I think a fan would rather explore it. And before somebody starts, I'm not saying that whenever it's a fascinating universe, that I like that universe or that I would want to live there. Heavens no, it's a hellscape, but that's what makes it fascinating is the word I'm looking for. That world was created with a lot of thought and a lot of care. And then to just come along and demand, I love this hobby, change it, is just bullshit. If there's plenty of other worlds that exist in the scape of our minds that you can go to. And this is why I wanted to talk about this. This person responds to me, which is what fans are doing when they create. Okay, let me repeat that. which is what he's saying, which is exploring, which is what fans are doing when they create their own Space Marine chapters. What prescriptivists are outraged, nobody's fucking outraged, about when they complain about people exploring the setting in ways that aren't just handed to them in dead source books from the 80s and 90s. To which I just simply replied, that's not exploring, that's changing. Now, like I told you, Puritans only really have two major arguments. One, you're a bad person and it hurts my feelings. Fuck it. I can't remember the second one right now. Shit. I've had a few too many to drink. But this isn't really an argument. It's a stratagem. Is that they try to take, whenever you set the rules, right, during a conversation, I made a distinction between exploring and changing something. And so what this person's trying to do now is grind down the definition of exploring to include changing. This is something that they do a lot. Case in point, they like to call everybody a fascist or a Nazi. They've grinded down the definition of that word to where it will include anybody. Whenever they are trying to win an argument, they really don't have a killing or winning stroke. What they do is that they try to say, well, the definition has a gray area, or it can mean different things, and therefore it can also mean these other things, such as changing something is a form of exploring. It's called experimentation. Experimentation can be called exploring from a certain point of view. But of course, that's not what we're talking about here. This person's using semantics. They're trying to say, oh, well, making changes to the universe is exploring, because then we get to try new things and how these new things work in this universe. That's experimentation. And again, if you call changing exploring, you see, they're playing semantics here. Where did the changes stop? But of course, I'll just leave it with this, because this is what it all comes down to. This simple meme. I love this hobby. Change it. Make it conform to me. Can I play? Sure. There's something about this game I don't like. Can we change it? The people say, no, we've played this way for years. Why are you excluding me? You're excluding me because you won't bow to my commands. You're excluding me because you will not kneel. All right, I know this is a weird one, an oddball one, but, I was following this and I found it very interesting how the Puritans will use any gray area or any contradiction in any definition or any piece of lore to use it to justify just a clean slate mentality. Well, there's one thing wrong, and so therefore it all can be wiped out. And for those of you who are regular listeners of me, I want to say I apologize for being gone for so long. I know it's been months. I've been dealing with some stuff, but hopefully I can get back into the swing of things and start getting back to where I'm excited to edit a video again. For those of you listening to me for the first time, if you feel so inclined, feel free to leave a like or possibly even subscribe for the next time I go on a rant about the crap I see on Twitter. This is Heretic Prince. Thank you for listening and letting me share my thoughts with you.